Dear people of the southern Cameroons, fellow brave warriors of our liberation movement, accept liberation greetings from me, Comrade John Akuro. This 27th day of November 2024. Today is Wednesday. My dear people, I'm delighted to be here this day for us to have yet another very interesting exchange on issues regarding our liberation movement. I absolutely want to say kudos to our brave hearts, those that are continuing to focus only on liberating our land, to focus only on the dogs that Mr. Pobia sends from Yaoundé, who continue to make sure they weed out the last vestiges of La République du Cameroon's colonial presence on our territory. I want to extend to you, 21 gun salute to all of you. And I also want to extend to our people on ground zero, the civilian population, serious liberation salute, because by your resiliency, since 2016 to this date, we are continuing to hold the forte. We are continuing to hold it tight and continuing to remind La République du Cameroon that it will never ever be business as usual on our land until they pack and leave. And also continuing to demonstrate to the entire world that the people of the southern Cameroons at least 98% want freedom, that we are tired of La République du Cameroon's colonial presence on our land. And so I am delighted that about 8 years down the line, the civil disobedience, which is manifested in the Monday ghost towns, continue to wax very strong, despite sometimes under the table approaches by agents of La République du Cameroon and the colonial administration to force the people to turn their backs on what they consider to be the fight of their lives, the fight of our lives. So I want to continue to doff my heart to you all. We are getting into the festive season, and often proposals have come from left and right. Oh, let's call off the Monday goes down so that people should enjoy Christmas and New Year, and they resume when it's over. But the people on the ground, year in, year out, have demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt and very triumphantly that not even the end of year feasts will touch their determination to show La République du Cameroon that we want to have nothing completely to do with them. So continue to accept my salute. Before I delve into the nitty-gritties of today's broadcast, I like to pay tribute to a departed soul. This is Peter Ngu Taong. Peter Ngu Taong, I learned yesterday about your passing on to glory. It was very disheartening. I was so dismayed to read that kind of a message. Peter Ngu Taong is a journalist of great repute, a motivational speaker, is a very inspirational figure. Peter Ngu Taong. Peter Ngu Taong was actually my mentor. Peter Ngu Taong is that guy who created a club in GHS Mbengui about 1985-1986 academic year, known as the Society of Journalism, SOJO. That club is, a body that attracted me so much. I really admired these guys all the way from two. I could not resist the charm that I saw with them moving around with microphones on the campus of GHS Mbengui, along with Randy Joe, Azeng, and yet others. And, I could see them hold the school administration and the entire school to stand still whenever they were playing their trade. And this is really what I have to do. And so, because of the Soldier Club, I got inspired to become a journalist. And as soon as I got to Yaoundé and went to Asmak, I connected with Peter Ngu Taong, Then he was working at CLTV in Balatu. He had just returned from Marwa. And Peter Ngo Taong so willingly, accepted to be that one who will do everything possible to support and mold me in my professional pursuits. Peter Ngo Taong never, hesitated any single moment to bring any form of assistance he could to, make me be the journalist I really had wanted to become. Because, of course, I became a member of that Sojo Club, the Society of Journalism, even becoming its president between 1991 and 1992, or that's 92, 93, in GHS Mbengui, and a good lot of us who became members of Sojo, as it was formerly called, of course, ended up as journalists. Peter Ngo Taong, may your gentle soul rest in peace. But trust me, bro, your wonderful works will live on. I know just before Peter Ngo Taong passed, he had become a motivational speaker. He lived in the United States of America for some time, but decided to go back home so he could share the knowledge that he had acquired over time and continue to inspire other people into the liberal professions and on wealth-making techniques. Thank you so much for your sacrifice, Peter Ngo Taong. Travel well to the land where there is no more pain, no more sickness. We will meet someday where we will not have to part anymore. May your soul rest in peace, Peter. That said, my people of Amazonia, often I like to move into La République du Cameroon at the start of our conversations so that we see certain things that continue to edify us, to understand why we need to fight like hell until we get these people out of our land. Because you see, the attitudes of the people of La République du Cameroon continue to demonstrate beyond reasonable doubt that remaining yoked with them means not only the future of our children who are alive today is doomed, but even the future of those who are yet to be born. Because these are people who are not only bankrupt in terms of having a vision on how to develop a society, these are people who are totally morally bankrupt at all levels. Folks, watch the short video with me.
Vous êtes un malade mental. Vous m'enregistrez. Vous êtes un malade mental, monsieur le maire. Vous débarquez sur moi, les boutiques déjà fermées, avec des choses à l'intérieur, vous cassez, vous allez endosser. Nous sommes dans l'état de droit, je vous le rappelle. Monsieur le maire, vous n'êtes pas vous qui faites les lois camerounaises, monsieur le maire. Je suis désolé, parce que vous agissez comme un malade mental. Payez le portable pour engager ce que je dis. J'assume, à tout niveau, j'assume. Vous êtes un malade mental. Je vous ai demandé de mettre la sécurité.
So you see what is going on in here. You can see that gentleman holding a stick. He is physically challenged. You see, like I said, that gentleman is physically challenged. You can see that he's lame. And this gentleman is trying his hand at some activity to keep body and soul going. Now you see, this is a mayor. It's not like it's just council police. It's a mayor himself who comes to the field and says, I need to break what you have. I need to scatter. These are people who never ever sit down to conceive anything when this guy who is physically challenged and all like him were taking the pains to put up this structure where they will get into, trying to survive. Where was the council to come tell them, no, at this stage you can't do this. That is rather where you can go. Or this is not the approach that you take in doing this. That is how you will do it. You have a system that celebrates when they are breaking people down and not when they are lifting them up. You have a system that does not hesitate to bring pain to a people already so pinned down by all forms of pressure, by all forms of misery. You have a people who are always very excited when they stand at the top and grind every other person under them. That is not who we are in the southern Cameroons. You will recall that the hallmark of the southern Cameroons in the golden days, when I say the golden days, I think of Professor Anthony Ndi, the book, The Golden Days of the Southern Cameroons, because there were golden days, and some people even try to, argue. The golden days of the southern Cameroons were Listen, in the community, everything was planned. I mean planned. Right down to the cleanliness you have to observe around your compound. We had sanitary inspectors who will come around to check to see that even the loose, what we call the toilet, because we had pit latrines, they'll make sure that even if it is pit latrine, it's not getting full, the environment is clean, the way it is constructed, it is such that nobody will get into harm's way, and that hygiene, basic rules of hygiene are respected, and this is done across the board. This was done across the board. Not only in these spheres, town planning. That is, planning was such that they will ensure you know this thing will happen at this place. And if you started doing something that was going at variance with the established norms, it will not only require the city council or the local council or the councillors to come tell you, at least in every community there was a councillor. And it is the same thing today. In every community there is a councillor. And besides that councillor, other people in the community know the established norms. And because it was all for one and one for all, we watch each other to see that our environment is what we want it to be like. Someone will draw your attention to it, or someone will draw the attention of the council, or someone will say, did you inquire with the councillor if this is what you should do? And in those circumstances, they preempt and not wait for you to put in your life's investments. So they only come in at the end with a machine to destroy. And too often, coming with this machine to destroy, it's not that they really will destroy. They need you to cough out some money in exchange for them letting you do and thrive with the wrong thing. But this is the most embarrassing thing here, is to find a man wanting to get into a physical fight with a physically challenged individual, barely struggling for life. Watch again. And the population is watching. Some will even be cheering. What a shame. This is the kind of society, my people of Ambazonia, that we are running away from. Don't tell me it is foreign news, because I always say it here. This is not foreign news. These same attitudes they have exported to some of our people. And since a good lot of them are colonial administrators in our land, this is the kind of attitude we see in our land now on a daily basis. Will you be wondering why Mr. Paul Bia's early in this liberation movement could catch a physically challenged person? Somebody was moving with a stick, could not walk. That they could catch him. I'm talking here about Sam Sawyer. Put him down and skin him alive on video. Are you surprised? These are the kinds of things. These are the kinds of people that we are dealing with. My people of Ambazonia. I show these videos because I want us to continue to recall by day and by night why we need to be so committed in this liberation movement. It is not just about the colonial presence of La République du Cameroon, not just about the brutality of their forces on our people, not just about their economic extortion, not just because of their dehumanizing treatment of our people as a whole, and not only because they're exploiting our resources and underdeveloping us, but also because they are imparting onto us a very horrible culture that we must not condone. Let's finish with that. Now let's let them go. It's so shameful, really so shameful that my people of Ambazonia, the other day I came here, that's 2 days ago, and I displayed this, I made this clarion call for assistance, and I said, look on the crew, you see the PayPal, Zelle, use amberrelief2018@gmail.com to bring in your assistance. I have a number of our compatriots Southern Cameroonians who are in very dire circumstances are needing our help. They need our help so badly. And I announced here that all needed to assist them is 1,380 US dollars. And I called for our solidarity instinct. To date, I can assure you, we've only got $375. I mean $375. Go and look at how many of us have watched that outing. There are over 5,000 on the first lot. And on the abridged version, there are over 3,000. Just look at that. Sometimes, when I happen not to come on this platform for 2-3 weeks, I will get calls, I will get messages. Are we still in the struggle? Have you abandoned? Or are you okay, for those who really mind but to check on my well-being? Have you abandoned, or what is going on? Look, folks, it takes a lot of sacrifice for me to come sit here. You look at this studio, you look at everything herein, I did it personally. There is no moment that I went out to raise funds from anyone to do this. This is to show the level of my personal sacrifice. How much do I earn an hour? If I tell you, you understand what it means for me to sacrifice, because to do this show, to prepare it, get the feeds, get all the information, carry out the investigations for what we have to share on this show, it takes me hours. This is sacrifice. I do that. Now, you're anxious to watch me, you're anxious to share in the information that I bring in. When I make a simple call for assistance, for us to help our compatriots that are in difficulties, you watch it, you shift to the same back, let him get away. Well, all that is nonsense. Folks, we have to inculcate back that spirit of sacrifice that characterized us at the start of this liberation movement, or that characterized the Southern Cameroons as a whole. We have to bring it back. Because look at that. I was talking about $1,380. Take 5,000 people watching. That's, if we're just $1, we're at 5,000. Folks, we need to help us. We need to assist our people. We know the kind of situation we're involved in. We know that sometimes it's not possible to disclose names, places, and circumstances in which people find themselves, because they just need to be helped to get out of where they are, to get out of the challenges that they are facing. You who are watching me, and who simply source and spite, have a change of heart. We need to come to the rescue of our own. This is very important. This is absolutely important. If you enjoy what I'm doing, if you admire the sacrifices that I'm putting in, then you need to show me some support. Support me to support these people who can't see you, they can't reach you, but they can reach me. Because often I give out my contacts, often they can go through any kind of means to get to me, and the most I can do is run to you here. Please, can we help? When there are things I can handle all by myself, I do. I don't need to bring it here. So please, folks, let's rise to the occasion. Let's bring help and succor to these people. It is urgent. Your $20, your $30, your $50, your $100 will make a difference. I first of all want to thank those who have already made the sacrifice this far. So if you want to help, just look on the scroll below me there. You will see, if you're in the US, you could be using Zelle. You use amberrelief2018@gmail.com. If you're out of the United States and you want to help, you can use PayPal. I mean, it's the same email address. So thank you. That said, folks, we will make one quick stop in Tuba, and then we get into the real matter of discussion on the show. So if you are just joining in, do well to share the link and share as much as possible. Let's get more people to come share in this discussion. The other day, I was talking about the situation of the Colonial Divisional Officer of Idabato, Mr. Roland Iwane, and of course, right up to this moment, I've still not heard that Cameroon government that he put his life on the line for has done anything to alleviate his situation where he is, because I said before that from all indications he was still alive, and I still get strong indications from my sources that he is still alive and still needed help. And this is to say to all those, whether you are a citizen of La République du Cameroon or you are a southern Cameroonian offering your life for a stupid and evil system like the Yaoundé system, you are putting your life in the rough way, and they will never come for you. Look at how the colonial divisional officer of Tuba also cheated death.
Yeah, you can see this is our Dio's residence. This afternoon, completely roasted, especially the side where he resides. The intervention has been so timely. If not, the compound could have all that could have been roasted. So the Dio of Tuba now is SDF, sound domicile fixed. So this one has just happened. You can see. Yeah, you can see. This is our Dio's residence.
So you see that when the self-defense volunteers got to this place looking for the divisional officer, it is by the grace of God that he happened not to have been there. If he were there, find out what could have happened to him. And used to carry your head. You tell yourself that, oh, I'm going to sit down because of a one and indivisible. Nobody will ever pay attention to you. It's an act of stupidity. If you call yourself divisional officer or senior divisional officer, colonial administrators in the southern Cameroons, just look for a possibility to leave the land. You don't belong here. And so you will always find yourself in harm's way. Don't kill yourself for a system that will never value your life. Because as a matter of fact, the people of the southern Cameroons have been very clear. We don't want La République du Cameroon in our land. Folks, I'll take a little break, and when we come back, we are getting into the real crux of the matter in this discussion. Very colorful and beautiful. Nice people, handsome, beautiful Amazonians doing a very wonderful piece right there. You're welcome back. My people of Amazonia, I'm going to play an audio here of Atanga Paul G that we have all listened to. And trust me, I know a good lot of us had listened to this on social media, but I'm bringing it back here because this is something I've spoken about before. But it is deeper than just what you hear or than just what you heard in that audio. And this is very important and fundamental to us. It will make us understand that La République du Cameroon's presence in our land is not just the way it is, that their attitude, their agitations clearly show they never ever considered that we're part of their country, even at the time when our people went to sleep and thought that we were in some kind of unity experiment with La République du Cameroon, either as a Federal Republic of Cameroon or the United Republic of Cameroon. They had always seen themselves as overlords, as colonial administrators with one objective: to exploit. That's simple. So let's listen to Atanga Ponji and we will get into the nitty-gritties of this.
most of the CDC land has been sold to individuals. Mr. Governor, I want to say something very, very clear. No 1 square meter of CDC land will be sold to any person. The CDC is the second biggest employer after the state. So I don't see how, despite the huge development projects that they have, we can be talking of selling the land of CDC. There is an instruction from the presidency that no CDC land should be sold, no Bamor land. There's another injunction from the presidency and from the Prime Minister's office that even the government land should not be sold. So I am a bit disturbed because...
So you see, this is Satanga Ponji here, La République du Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, waking up from sleep, from a very deep slumber. You all recall that there was a time that Mr. Tambetiku in Boya, who was in charge of the human rights, whatever, I'm forgetting even the name of the outfit, the National Human Rights Commission. Mr. Tambetiku had come out there with documents demonstrating that Mr. Okalia Bilai Bernard, La République du Cameroon's colonial governor in Boya, who had been a colonial senior divisional officer in Fako, had over 82 land certificates in Fako alone. Over 82 land titles on very choice land. Before him, just before him, several other La République du Cameroon citizens who were senior divisional officers, of course, colonial senior divisional officers in Fako, did the same. Even while he was still colonial governor, the colonial senior divisional officer for Fako, the previous one and even the current one, all are land grabbers of another level. Look, folks, how do they get this land? Let me just make a little flashback. You recall that in the days of European colonization, what the colonial administrators did was go after land. This is the modus operandi. This is what it is. Because whenever we say this, that it is a colonial administration, some people come and stand on rooftops and shout some rubbish in my ears of one and indivisible. The characteristics are clear, they are glaring, and they speak for themselves. Because look at this. When the European colonial administrations arrived, the first thing they did, they went for all the choice and fertile land in the countries where they were. And a lot of this land was only ceded when colonialism ended. But in some countries where they persisted, where they stayed, even as foreigners, they owned the best land. And the indigenes were now servants or, were now laborers on their own land and did not have access to such land in their own country. That is how Robert Mugabe became very famous in Zimbabwe when he launched an onslaught against British citizens turned Zimbabweans who owned all the choice land, the most fertile land in the country, and the people did not have access to such land. And so when Mugabe decided on a scheme to redistribute land, of course, you know how the West came on him like a beehive. You know the kind of sanctions that Zimbabwe has faced. So this is the same thing with La République du Cameroon colonial administrators on our land. We're talking here about Fako. It's not only in Fako. You go to Meme, it's the same thing. You go to Mezam, it's the same thing. In short, all the metropolitan areas in the southern Cameroons, too often, the senior or colonial senior divisional officers will only be citizens of La République du Cameroon, and too often from a specific tribe, because they notice that there are resources in this area and they need to bring people there whose role will be to tap those resources, one, to their benefits, two, to the benefits of regime barons across the board, and 3, to make sure they continue to suppress and dehumanize us. Because truth be told here, I say in FACO, a lot of the land that the CDC even ceded to some communities to enable the people, the indigenes of those villages, to have land, family land, because that is what it is in the southern Cameroon, to have family land, to what they also call their own ancestral land, where they can build on and ensure nobody is lodging around totally homeless with no place where they can fall back to. When this land was ceded out, it created some class of nouveau rich, being chiefs, who sometimes were hurriedly installed by Mr. Okalia Bilai Bernard and his apparatchiks around there. So they will use them to tap good portions of that land, one that they will offer to themselves, others that they will offer to their family and friends, and others that they will outrightly sell. They became the landlords. That is why when they tried to take from some chief or the other, and the chief said, no, my people, they made sure they created disputes in those areas against those chiefs and made sure that you are thrown out so that someone ready to do their bidding will come in. That's why you had a plethora of chieftaincy disputes all over FACO. And then as if that's not enough even, they will even come into some of those places and decide to outrightly create new chiefdoms. I mean new chiefdoms, new villages, and install their stooges who will help them acquire all this land. I say when Mr. Tambe Tiku talked about this, the colonial senior divisional officer at the time was reputed, who has been there just 4 years, was reputed to have had about 58 land titles to his credit. In FACO, not small land, hectares of land. Where Okale Bilai was at 82. 82. And they will not end there. You know, Mr. Okale Bilai Bernard should be about 10 years into his retirement, but he will not be retired. The same thing with Adolphe Lele Lafrique de Benchofo in Bamenda. They will not be retired because they are not there only to keep suppressing our people, but for these particular reasons that I'm talking about. Let's listen again to Atanga Ponji before I come back.
I received 5 parliamentarians and 5 senators from the Southwest region who came to meet me in a delegation. And all they had to tell me is that, Mr. Minister, things are going out of control in FACO division. I said, what is the problem? They told me that there is no more land in FACO. So I said, it is important for us to address these issues and give instructions to our collaborators that they should not be part of any deal which is not legal. No 1 square meter of CDC land will be sold. And Mr. Governor, Mr. SDO, should go and verify if there's any transaction which has to do with CDC land or palm oil and all, it should be cancelled with immediate effect. We should not do things like that. I say there is an instruction from the President of the Republic that no CDC land should be sold, no palm oil land, even reserved government land should not be touched. So we should look at this. The second complaint, Mr. Governor, that every day I receive in my office is this question of chiefdoms which have been created. As a result of all these complaints, I told Mr. Governor to put in place a commission so that we should look into all the chiefdoms which have been created for the past 3, 4 years and examine all the complaints which have been tabled by the population. We examine the complaints.
Now you hear. He's talking here about chiefdoms being created. Just what I said a while ago. And while all this is going on, there is somebody called Belamoki Charles Ngaringa. Who is he attacking?
Someone's knee is on the neck of Southwesterners. And this is the moment we should get out of what it is. We are being called to keep quiet and not to tell the truth. Someone's knee is on the neck of Southwesterners. And this is the moment we should get out of what it is. We are being called to keep quiet and not to tell the truth.
I'm supposing that at this point, Mbelamoki Charles is beginning to know exactly whose knee is on the neck of his so-called Southwest. I suppose Mbelamoki will not be telling me again that he doesn't know who the person is, or that he is going to attack the wrong people who are just victims like him of a colonial system that he has and is even continuing to support to stay in place. This is horrible. You hear, they say that all the parliamentarians, the senators, they came to him and they were saying there is no more land in Fako. No more land. But if ask Mbelamoki Charles, you say the people we hate are the ones who have taken all our land. Now the truth is out. Because, let's be clear here. You see how it happens. First, you find out that the colonial governor is a Betima. The colonial SDO for Fako will be a Betima. Then they will make sure the divisional delegate for lands or for land tenure and service will be one of them. And they will make sure that everyone involved in the chain is a citizen of La République du Cameroun. And so when they sit together to do all what they want to do and attribute this land to themselves, there is nobody in the chain to raise the little finger. It has been like this for a long time. It has been like this for too many years. It's not only in Fako, like I said. You find out that in Meme, they will make sure that in Meme, the colonial senior divisional officers, 98% of the time, will be from the center southeast. 98% of the time. The colonial divisional delegates for lands and surveys who will go out there to do the pegging will be from the same area. I mean, they do this. If it's not from the same area, you'll be from the west, Bamelike. So it's easy. In short, they are all citizens of La République du Cameroun. The same thing they did in Meza. If you want to know, some time ago in Meza, there was a senior divisional officer, of course, Colonial, who was from the west. His name was Daniel Sufo. You see the place called GRA today. If you went into that GRA in Bamenda, upstation, almost 70% of the land was owned by Bamileke people. Because Mr. Sufo made sure that he attributed this land, because of course the divisional the regional delegate or lands and all the ones of survey and everything, they were all, at that time, they were even all Bamileke, all from the west of La République du Cameroun. So Mr. Sufo made sure even most of this, their people were there, even their housemates had land. Some had 3, some had 4. This is in Bamenda. Suddenly, you get into the GRA, which is created, and this is land taken from the population that they want to, develop in a kind of way. Then it be a residential area and an area where, if there is need for any serious development project, they can get land from there. If some industrialists or some elite of the land suddenly come and want adequate space to construct, some kind of housing, we should obey a certain standard, they will get them land from there. But at the end of the day, when our people came, they had to start negotiating to buy this land, their own land, taken for this purpose, buying it now from Bamileke people. It had to take their arrival. I don't know how it happened that Mr. Sanji Robertson Tado found himself as senior divisional officer in Mezam, because it was very rare to find a Southern Cameroonian get there. And these fights came before him, and he had an arduous task to work the midnight candle to try to bring back order, to try to identify whoever owned what piece and realize, the total scam that happened there, and had to try to put order, collected some of this land back from people who did not have to get in the first, who did not have the means. Because one of the conditions of being attributed such land is that you have a limited period of time to construct, and you need to demonstrate that you have the means to construct. This is what it was. And that's not all. Lele Lafrique de Benchofo in Bamenda, not long ago, connived with the Colonial Senior Divisional Officer and, of course, the Department of Lands, as usual. And they were going to sell the Parcours Vita. They were already demarcating the land in Bamenda called Parcours Vita. If you know where it is, around Tamalung there. And this is land again that was taken from the population for the purpose of creating an area where people could go there for sports activities. Anyone could come there at any time for, for healthy walks and all kinds of things. They set out, started demarcating this land to sell, because they are a colonial administration. They come to do what? To dominate, to loot, and to suppress. That's what they come for. And so, from my findings, it took a certain Asongwet Emmanuel Anyang, who was regional delegate for housing and urban development at the time, and who eventually became director at the ministry in Yaoundé. It took him sticking his head out, as I heard from my findings, to say this will not happen, and had to write left, right, and everything before he was able to put a stop to that scheme. This is who they have been in our land throughout. And yet when they do this and go, we stay behind and leave the people who are doing this thing glaringly behind us, and focus on our own people with whom we are all suffering. Our own people who are being tortured along with us every day. Very embarrassing. This is why you see I continue to show this. That when the world is made to be idiot-proof, the world will become overpopulated with idiots. Because these are people, because I literally will call these idiots. People who sit and before their eyes, they are cleaning your land. People from somewhere else, you abandon them to focus on your own people who are facing the same challenges like you on a daily basis. How sad. Let's listen to Atanga Ponji again.
The chiefdoms which are genuine, which could continue, we evaluate and let them go. But those which cannot really stay, because we have complaints that to create some of those chiefdoms, they go inside another chiefdom and take land from who left and take another land and to create a chiefdom, which becomes a problem.
Exactly
with
what I
territorial
said.
boundaries and limitations, which we cannot really manage. So I want to make it very, very clear that I, as Minister of Territory, I do not ask my collaborators to be. They are part of the process. But if you are selling CDC land, just know that that is a deal which will be cancelled. It should be clear. We have had reports. There's a report that went to the presidency that there is a center for the blind people here, and that the blind people came out and they were complaining. Those are people who cannot see. That part of the land in their area has been that someone was building in their premises. So if you cannot have pity for somebody who is...
Can you imagine? There's talk over here about the Bulu Blind Center. The colonial administration will sell even land that is being used to take care of people who are challenged, to take care of blind people. Okalia Bilai Bernard. And this is happening before the eyes of Peter Mafani Musonge inside Fako. They will tell you, when they go join that CPDM crime syndicate, they no longer think. This is Atanga Ponji, whom we all know. If this kind of reaction has to come from him, you will see that, hey, they are taken too much to the point where even the owners who were generally blind had really come to notice. There's a book I read, I think by Devil. The title was The Devil's Teacher. until you hear the devil cry, hey, that this is too much, that this is too wicked. They know that that level of wickedness is unparalleled. When you hear this from Atango, know that that level of wickedness is unparalleled.
Is blind, who cannot even see. I think Mr. SDO and Mr. Those are things you should look at. You see, we have complaints that the football pitch in a school, the identification of a school is a football field. So if you go and sell the football field in a school where children should go, it becomes a problem. There are certain things I don't want to compromise with. As much as we should respect state authority, there are certain things that the administration should not do.
The devil has wept. Can you imagine that? You are seeing here the devil's teardrop. This tells you the extent of the damage. My people of Amazonia, when you see in other countries across the world, I want to start becoming very comfortable. Say, oh, after all, I'm already a citizen of A, a citizen of B, a citizen of X. Take note. Paper citizenship will never replace the place where you come from, because that paper citizenship can be revoked. And we've heard more than enough about that lately. My dear people of Amazonia, we have to make sure we continue to rise to the occasion to fight to free our homeland, because this is a very noble thing to do. This is a very, very noble thing to do. I want to thank all of you who took time off to be part of this broadcast, and I'd like to call on you to continue to share the link so that as many people as possible continue to get edified with what is going on in our land. And also, please, if you haven't made a contribution yet, look on the crew and please help. We have souls that are needing help somewhere, and this help, the need is urgent. I'd like to thank everyone very much. Until we meet again here, let's have a nice time.